Fully Ramblomatic Blu-rays Volume 1 and 2 are back in stock at our store. Buy them both and we'll throw in a fridge magnet, so you can ruin the discs with it if you want. I don't know, it's your money. Also, we've got a new I'm Just Not That Into You Human Race t-shirt, and there is no middle finger big enough coffee mug, so you can express contempt for society in two ways simultaneously. Buy now. Actually, watch the video first, then buy. I think I figured out why Danganronpa and Factorio have never won the Summer Game Drought Viewers' Choice vote. It's because when people see Danganronpa and Factorio neck and neck for first place, they all think, shit, we can't let the weebs and the model train enthusiasts win. People will think that we, the subscribers to this online video game magazine's Patreon, are a bunch of nerds. And so everyone who voted for the games that didn't have a sea urchin's chance in a Japanese restaurant kitchen tactically changed their votes to the third place runner-up. And that's why, by popular request, I'm now reviewing Slay the Princess, a game about... well, I think the title sums it up adequately. Nice job, tactical voters. Now, if you could just figure out how to use this energy when voting for actual world leaders, perhaps our kids won't have to slit each other's throats for access to water rations. So Slay the Princess, then. It's a visual novel mainly based around text. Thanks a fucking bunch, guys. Now I have to pretend to be an actual literary analyst, and can't pretend I know what I'm talking about by making up the usual bullshit about immersion and gameplay and interface flow. Oh, hang on, the background art wobbles around a bit when you move the mouse, that's something. What's with all the wobbly background art? What is this, the wobbling hour? Oh, forget it. In Slay the Princess, we are placed in the role of ageless, faceless, gender-neutral, culturally ambiguous adventure person, who might also be a dragon, or possibly some kind of giant rooster, it's not clear. And we wake up on a forest path en route to a cabin, where, our inbuilt narrator voice assures us, can be found a princess whom we must slay, to save the world. And immediately things take the first exit off of the standard linear narrative highway and into the subversive deconstruction rest-stop station where everyone plays the Stanley Parable and pretends they understand Tom Stoppard plays, because while we can take the option to march straight to the cabin and cheerfully slit her up a treat, there's also about 9,000 other options wherein we argue with the narrator, very Stanley Parable-y stuff right there, and try to get some answers on why this princess needs stabbing and how this ending the world business actually works. The narrator refuses to give any straight answers, a second voice in our head starts chipping in, and we get bogged down with quite a lengthy internal debate before you throw up your hands and press on, because if we stand around talking to the trees all day, nothing's going to get stabbed or snogged. If you're anything like me, you resolve to meet the princess and make a decision on the fly once you've gotten her perspective on whether or not she'd like to be stabbed. But this very sus arrangement only gets more so because you find a knife in the cabin and the princess's personality changes depending on if you take the knife with you when you go meet her or not. If you leave it, she's a frightened innocent schmoll bean begging for rescue, but if you take it, she's a defiant cynical lady who's ready to defend herself. But neither version of her has any straight answers either. She says she probably won't destroy the world, but she also doesn't know her own name or how she got into the basement in the first place. So from here, we have quite the smorgasbord of options. We could slay the princess, I mean it's right there in the name, you have to burn the rope, never steered me wrong, but do we slay her right away or give her false hope of rescue first? Do we try to rescue her, fighting off the narrator in the process, or do we just resolve to leave her locked in the basement forever like Buffalo Bill with a commitment phobia? Whatever you choose, you end up dead. Either she kills you, or the narrator kills you, or you kill her and then get so bored from there not being a princess around that you stab yourself in the face. Then time loops back around to the start, except now there are even more voices in your head and the princess has changed again based on what you did to her in the first place. If you tried to save her, she's now a beautiful damsel. If you straight up killed her, she's a ghost. If you fought her, she's a warrior. If you murdered her parents, she's Batman now. I made one of those up, and still the narrator is insisting we kill whatever she is, and if you do that, her next incarnation gets fucked up even further, like she becomes a demon or a goddess or that really weird version of Batman with all the nails in his face, at which point whatever she is gets absorbed by a sort of universal omni-princess entity, who thanks you very much and sends you back to the original reality to create more fucked up princess variants for her to snack on. So, as should have been obvious from how the world literally doesn't contain anything but a path, a cabin and a knife, we established that we, the narrator and the princess, are all metaphors trapped in a constructed reality of infinite possibilities. It's a bit of a metafictional satire of storytelling as a concept. The narrator's right, saving the princess destroys the world, or at least the current version of it, because the world is a story, and saving the princess is how the story ends. In the overhanging metaphor, the narrator represents the status quo, the princess represents change, and the player is the point stuck in the middle where the one becomes the other. And there's something about Slay the Princess that I find very absorbing. I find it hard to tear away from the hunt for more different princesses to get murdered by. Probably doesn't hurt that the writing's really good. I like how there's no omniscient voice. The narrator and the different variants of the princess and player character voices are all distinct personalities that can be argued with, and the actors do a good job of making them all sound different. They should hang out with that bloke who was in The Altars. I noticed the writing gets particularly evocative when describing violence. Ice-cold agony nails through your torso, your blood spattering musically against her stiletto heels. How pathetic, sneers the princess as she stomps again and again, and you realise as the life fades from the shredded remnants of your carcass that you've never been so hard in your life. Jesus Christ, where's this coming from? I mean, I'm not trying to say that the people who made this game were a bunch of perverted guru fetishists. fetishists. I'm just saying that if you do happen to be a perverted guru fetishist, then I know what to get you for Christmas. And speaking of Christmas, time for some Christicisms. Yes, that works. I wish the game went on longer. You only have to feed 4 or 5 princesses to the Omni Princess to set off the ending, and there's like 20 of the fuckers to find. The game helpfully lets you know you're on a path to a princess you've seen before, but only within the current run. I'd be grateful if that service extended to all future runs. I want to see all the princesses, fill out the gallery, and find the ones that cater to my specific fetishes. And after having gone through the ending more than once, the Omni Princess swiftly became the least interesting of all the princesses to talk to. Arguing with her in the big climactic fight-stroke-debate club feels like trying to argue with a puff of smoke that goes around in circles as it emerges from her arse. In conclusion, I enjoy Slay the Princess for its deconstructive writing and prose chops, but it's one of those journey over the destination experiences because I went away feeling like it hadn't had a solid point to conclude with. Either you slay the Omni Princess, or release the Omni Princess, or shack up with the Omni Princess in an inexpensive one-bedroom ranch house, and she seems cool with whatever. Then you go, okay, great, and restart the game to see if you can find the path where the princess turns into a killer whale with big tits. I guess try drowning her in a bucket of medical-grade silicon?